my colleague. We determined that it was Dr. Arnes and myself, Nova Thomas, and Susan Ashbaker, who've been here the whole 10 years. When we wanted to put this together, Susan was one of the first people that I went to. We had a lunch up in Chestnut Hill, Pennsylvania, and started to get ideas going, and she has been our artistic advisor ever since, and wonderful coach, wonderful teacher, friend that you all will get to know very soon. And I will turn it over to Susan Ashbaker. Work with the singers here, but I also can kind of prepare you for what you're going to get in the next 3 weeks. So there's a lot of talking about how to take the most advantage of cooperative, as well as specific things for your aria. And remember, just because she's doing it for Je veux vivre doesn't mean you can't do the same thing modified towards yours. So I hope you'll walk away with 100 things that you can take into the practice room. It is our 10th season, and this is super great. I need a show of hands. Who is here for the very first time? Who was here last year? Yeah. Is there anyone that was here before then and back? Great. I have a question, and I'd like 3 or 4 responses. How do you define a successful audition? What? Pardon me? Getting the part. What else?
I used to think of it as getting the part, but now I think of it as doing everything in your power to do your best.
Great.
Yep.
Yes?
You make sure that they remember you.
Then make sure they remember you.
Yeah, I think even if you don't get what you want, if you felt like it was a personal accomplishment or a milestone or something you achieved that you wanted to, then I think that's successful.
Okay. One more,
Setting goals before your audition and seeing if you complete.
Great. All good ideas. Now, I want another show of hands. I like to ask questions. Which of you, and there are going to be 3 questions, and you can only answer it once. Which of you know exactly what your next step in this career is? How many people think they know what their next step is? Be proud, raise your hands. Who is clueless about what your next step is? Okay. I love your honesty. No matter what you answered, you are in the right place. Everyone here will find out in the next 3 weeks a multitude of ways to get you from here to there, wherever your here is and wherever your there is. We have a great faculty.
Are you going to do something or not?
Oh, absolutely. Kathy Kelly. Woo-hoo! And we have others that aren't here tonight, but they're all remarkable, they're all accomplished. When you're here, you're going to receive a lot of information, a lot of opinions. Some of them may be conflicting opinions. Kathy may say, oh, you have to breathe there, and I say, I don't like that breath there. Who's right? We both are. What we have to do is find out what works for you. But there are 3 things that are non-negotiable. And if you've been in a class with me at Westminster and know the answer, what are the 3 things, and faculty can't answer, what are the 3 things that really must be right? Yes?
Rhythm, pitch, and text.
Were you in my class? Very good. Rhythm, pitch, and text. So if someone says to you, you, your word is wrong, your rhythm is wrong, your pitch is wrong, do everything to fix that before the end of the day. Those are non-negotiables. You don't want to be the singer that misses rhythms. And truly, we count. I count when Steel meets. Steve, I want to make sure you have 7 beats in there. And for people that sing and True Love's aria, I know that first accompanied recit, and I will know if you cheat, and it will make you wonder about your rhythm. So the other thing that for me is a non-negotiable, and maybe I'm thinking, maybe I'm not. I'd love for my colleagues to tell me what they think. But if you sing out of tune, I'm not going to be able to hire you, okay? Because we want in-tune singing. So this, sometimes people will sing a note out of tune, but this is just kind of baseline intonation. So what are the things that are the variables? What are the things that we might disagree on, and that's okay? Nobody has a clue? Yes?
Musical or dramatic interpretation?
Interpretation, yeah, what else?
Breaths.
Breaths. What else?
Attire.
Attire, yes. But I want to kind of focus it on the music for a minute. Yeah?
Learn how to play rubato.
Learn what?
How to use rubato.
Absolutely.
Stylistic choices like a punch.
Yes.
Pronunciation of some certain words, maybe. I know it's part of text, but how there's in certain areas of different countries that I pronounce it differently.
Dialect. Well,
Dialect.
I'm going to give it to you under the umbrella of dialect.
Okay.
Open E and open E.
Right, sorry. You're right.
Portamenti, whether to, and I'm old enough now to have gone through a couple of trends. When I first started out, nobody portamentoed in French music. Remember? At all, mind you. Now, lots of portamenti happen.
Ornamentation in the capital art.
Exactly. Anything else? So if someone suggests to you that you breathe here or you breathe there, and it's not comfortable for you, I want to tell you there's a way to talk to people that are helping you in a way that will not be offensive. If somebody says, please do this, and you just don't do it because you don't want to say that, go ahead and say, you know what? My best aspiration is to do that whole phrase without that. But until I get there, where might you suggest I breathe? Or, wow, when I do this rubato here, I find I run out of breath. Is it possible that I don't do quite so much? It's about engaging the faculty in conversation about what works best for you. One thing I truly do know, there are a few people in this business that want it done their way, and that's okay. But there are also people, and I believe most of the faculty here, want to help you find and be your best selves. So what works for you? And you have to take this all back to your team, the people that you work with on a regular basis. So they can say, wow, this was great, or I disagree. And then you can engage with them in this dialogue. But it's important that you start the conversation. I'm going to go back to the question about how do you know if you've had a successful audition. Sometimes you can't tell by the criteria some of you talked about. Just because you didn't get a job doesn't mean you weren't great. I have heard many, many beautiful singers that I couldn't hire. Nothing was wrong with them. They did everything right. I just didn't have a role for them. I'd already hired what they were good for. So the best assessment of your audition comes from you. So know what you're going in for. Know what it is that you want to make better. And I believe you always need to have 2 books that you write in. One is your audition journal. You can start this week. You can start with, it's not really an audition, but you can use the performances here to assess. The space was like this. The acoustics were like this. I was nervous. I ate too much. I ate too little. I wasn't hydrated enough. Fill it with information so that you know what you can do to maximize your opportunities. Write down what you wore. Write down what you sang. Write down, when you audition in New York, write down the hall. Sometimes you have to write down how to get there because you may not go there for 3 years. Yeah. Write down that when you sing at List Hall at the Met, you're on the floor, and much like this, everybody goes up, and to be careful that your chin doesn't go up because you want to look them in the eye. Little things like that. Mark down what the piano was like. I played an audition back in 1642. And they had a grand piano in this space, but it was sitting upon school desks, and it didn't have any pedals. My singer was singing Puccini. So make note of all these kinds of things. The other thing is, keep a yes book. I'm a big believer in the yes book. Because you're going to have enough hard days when you really think you should have gotten that role and it went to somebody else. Or you wake up and you think, should I really be a singer? Whenever somebody says something wonderful about you, whenever you get good feedback, whenever you feel great about what you've done, write in your yes book. The whole book will be positive. So when you wake up one day and think, I don't think I want to sing ever, 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 you look at the yes book and go, oh my gosh, I really sang well for that. This is the feedback that I got. So that you can fortify yourself when you feel like you're a little island out by yourself. Okay? So, in the master class tonight, as I said, we're going to weave in some more tidbits of things as well as singers. So let's go ahead and start with the singers. Oh, okay, thank you. I'm backwards. I will help. I'm always punctual. Who sings first? Tom. Tom?
Deborah McKinney is not singing tonight, so you know the third one on the program is not singing.
The old fool. Here I stand, my constitution sound, my frame not ill-favored, my wit ready, my heart light. I play the industrious apprentice in a copybook, I submit to the drudgish yoke, I slave for a lifetime to enrich others, and then be thrown away like a non-bone. Not I, and not great doctors, assure us that good works are of no avail, or heaven predestined soul. In my fashion, I may profess myself for their party, and herewith entrust myself to fortune. Since it is not by merit we rise or we fall, but the favor of fortune that governs us all, that governs us all. Why should I labor for what in the end she will give me for nothing if she be my friend? Why, if she be not, why the worth I might gain, for a time I might toil would at last be in vain, would at last be in
voice.
Thank you.
Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I like numbers. and because I don't know all of you, I want to know what you think. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst you've ever sung us, and 10 being the best, where were you?
6.
6? Okay. Now, I want you to tell me the thing that you were proud of.
The high note.
He should be proud of it. Yeah. And what's something that you know you need to work on a little bit?
Sometimes in the pointillism, I feel my legato really start to move.
Now see, I ask questions because I need to know very quickly where you self-assess. And you self-assess actually quite well. The first thing, however, I want to talk about has nothing to do with anything that you said.
Okay.
It's about tempo. Were you happy with the tempo?
I felt it was slow.
It was slow.
Mhm.
Now, do not ever blame the pianist if it's too slow. But you have to change the tempo.
Okay.
It was slow. She was way too slow. And you tried for about half of a measure and then you settled back into it.
Okay.
So what I heard then were times where you were kind of struggling with things that if the tempo were faster.
Right.
You all need to practice changing tempo. And we, in our auditions classes last year, we had tempo changing day, and I would start super slow or super fast or whatever. It's your job to slow us down or speed us up.
Okay.
Okay, now, the difference between a young singer and an established singer is that an established singers know that they will take their own tempo, and they don't care if you're with them or not, you'll get there. And they'll push forward. So let's try this again.
Okay.
Because it happened at both the Resident and the Art Proper.
Right.
So let's start things with your same tempo.
Okay.
But you fix it.
Okay. Here I stand, my constitution sound.
He sets the tempo. And then you slow down. Do you know that? Okay. So the first beat is what?
It's 4. 3.
It's in 3, but what's the first beat of the measure?
What do you mean?
What is on the first beat of the measure? On Here I Stand.
A C?
I'm sorry.
B?
No, well no, wrong. It's a rest.
Oh.
You need to know that.
Yes.
Here I stand.
Okay.
Now, you may not breathe through your mouth or your nose like I did, but when you have something that's so important like that, when you meander in, here I stand, it's harder for us. So be really, here I stand, the words are strong, the rhythms are strong. Go.
Okay. Here I stand, my constitution sound, my frame not ill favored, my wit ready, my heart light. I play the illustrious apprentice.
Better?
Yes, much better.
Okay. So practice that.
Okay.
Everybody should practice their first measures like every day. It won't take you forever. It'll take you 3 minutes because it's just the first measure. It's about knowing what to do. Okay? Now, let's jump to the indicative
Okay.
and do the same thing. What's on beat 1 this time?
Arrested.
Yes.
Since it is not by merit, we rise or we fall, but the faith.
Okay, because you don't slow down quickly, but you kind of morph into it.
Okay. Since it is not by merit, we rise or we fall, but the favor of fortune that governs us all, that governs us all. Yeah.
So what happens when you have lots of notes? It's easier to control. If you're singing fundamental, you sing a long note, and the pianist can be very indulgent, but you have to change on do. It's your responsibility, because you can't go and say, "Wow, that pianist just totally messed me up because the tempo was wrong." It's your audition. Don't ever give your power away. in a coaching. If a coach says, let's try it slower or faster, say, okay. And then talk about it. How did this feel? Quando's a great example because I think it's like 104 and most people sing it at 80. But go back and listen to the Toscanini recording and it is at what Puccini indicated. We don't do it that way anymore, but it actually was indicated that way and recorded that way. So this puts you in the driver's seat right away.
Okay.
If the pianist doesn't catch up, keep going.
Okay.
It will not be a reflection on you. Now, the second thing, when we got to all those high G's, you're ready for them. I can see that your vowel is ready.
Uh-huh.
But it's like the string player who forgets to vibrate before they play.
Okay.
The onset of those high notes, when they're the first notes, are a little straight tone, and then you move through them.
Okay.
So can you get the sense of the vibrato going
Sure.
in those?
Sure.
From the beginning.
Here I stand, my constitution's on, my flame not in favor, my beat ready, my heart light. I play the duties of apprentice in a copybook, I submit to the tradition, I slave for a lifetime to enrich others.
I felt the first one was okay, the second and third one were really good.
Okay.
What was the difference?
Just thinking about it, a split second.
Okay, good. Then the other thing, when you have words like predestined, we all do this. We forget the vowels. And so what happens is what I call X notes. Predestined. Now I'm exaggerating. We didn't do that.
Okay.
But sing, because when you said, "Oh, my legato could have been better," what do I write here? L and L. That's my shorthand for line and legato. Two separate things for me. Good, but could be better. Okay. So let's talk about legato. What is legato?
A steady stream of vowel, air, and vibrato.
Yeah, pretty much. I like to go back to the verb legare. Do you know what legare means?
I should.
Help him, please.
To tie together.
To tie together, to bind together, to connect together. And what is it we are binding or tying or connecting?
No. The pitches. Sound.
Yeah, because consonants are part of it too. So make sure that there's sound.
Okay.
Now, line to me is totally different. And there are some people that will say line and legato mean it interchangeably, but to me they're two separate things.
Okay.
Line is like your vocal GPS. Okay? So you need to know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, you're not going to take anybody with you. And if you don't take anybody with you, that's going to make it disinterested. So imagine if you're driving along, and I'm giving you directions, and I say at the next traffic light, please turn right.
Okay.
You're going to put your clicker on, you're going to slow down, you're going to turn right, and we will have executed a lovely turn. If I say, turn right now, you are likely to crash, or do it with, squeal, or miss the turn. And that's what happens sometimes with singing. We miss the turn. We don't really know where we're going, and the audience is smacked up against the wall because you suddenly took us somewhere that you hadn't prepared us for. So, when you think about this now, we're going to go back to the same thing. And I want you to really think where you're going and how you're going to get us there.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you to meander around because sometimes when we walk, it's harder to not go anywhere because our bodies are physically moving.
Okay.
So let's start again.
Here I stand.
You had great sound in your movie, but you were not setting the tempo very well.
Okay.
Okay?
Here I stand. My constitution's on, my flame not in favor, my beat ready, my heart light. She's a friend in a copybook, I submit to the tradition, I slave for a lifetime to reach others, and then be thrown away like a nardbone, not high, and not great.
smartest crayon in the
No,
box?
not
Not always. So here you are, talking to whom?
not really talking to anybody.
You're
just
talking to
himself,
yourself, yeah. We all do that. It's not just weird opera characters. We just don't always do it out loud. But the truth be told, I bet everybody talks to themselves a little bit. Where do I put the shoes? You know, little things like that. So, when you have, where do we stop? Not I. We ask a question, and we go from 14 to piano.
Okay.
So that change with dynamic and question changes directions. You have to prepare us. We're still going down Route 95. You turned off on Route 1. Let's see. However, there's not a good place to start. And then they throw away from there.
Still meandering.
Yeah, you can see well in the under.
And then be thrown away like a nodball. Not I have not great doctors.
You changed on have not, I need to see it in the rest. Not I have not great.
Okay.
So we're gonna use this woman over here to say not I to, and then you whip around and say have not to her.
Okay.
Totally different thought,
Okay.
totally different person. And then get on the way.
And then be thrown away like a nodball. Not I have not great doctors. Assured us that.
Was he successful? Feedback. On a scale of 1 to 10, was he super successful? A little successful. Okay. Yeah, we're doing dancing with the stars here.
And then be thrown away like a nodball. Not I have not great doctors. Assured us that good works.
What made it better? Sharper, more decisive.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, when you're in a conversation with someone and you want to make points, you're already thinking about the next thing you're saying before you get to the end of the sentence. So, you can capture somebody's attention. And did you hear how much space I left there? That's like a rest. You knew I was going to fill it, but I didn't do it quickly. Yes. Okay. All right. Great. You did a great job.
Thank you.
So, in between each person, I want to just talk for a second. Being here is kind of like building a toolbox. The toolbox has lots in it.
I'm sorry.
I was thinking of a literal toolbox.
Arias.
Arias, yes, Arias are in your toolbox. What else is in your toolbox if you have to fix something?
Your technique.
Technique.
Anything that'll help you conquer a problem that you're faced with.
How to conquer a problem. What else?
How to stand in your posture.
Yeah, what else?
Language skills.
Language skills, super important. How many are fluent in French? How many are fluent in Italian? How many are fluent in German? Okay, we're all going to work to get there. I mean,
Rhythmic skills.
rhythmic skills.
Learning strategies.
Singers don't count.
What?
Learning strategies. Learning strategies.
Learning strategies, yeah. How to practice.
Memorization skills.
Memorization skills, yes. Drama.
Someone said good books, like books to read.
Books to read, absolutely. You name it, it's going to be in this toolbox. And so, think about all the tools you need to get so that you can do something when you're not here. Your job is to listen, incorporate, and claim it as your own for a tool, so that when you don't have access to people, you can listen to a recording of a lesson, look at your notes, but you'll have tools to fix things. If somebody said, would you, well, actually I did this once, I caulked my bathtub. I had no clue how to do that, I wanted to do it right. It took forever. But I went to the internet, and I found how to do it. Now, the internet is your friend. You should all be doing Google searches when you're on Facebook at night. Stop for 30 minutes and do a Google search. Do your aria. What does somebody think about this? Listen to 10 arias on YouTube, or one aria on YouTube with 10 different artists. Get lost in that. Those are part of your tools. And one of the things for me, when you're looking at your toolbox, when you're looking at a problem, try to solve one thing at a time. When you're singing up here, when you're singing in a performance, you are juggling 1,000 balls. When you practice, if you try to practice it all at the same time, you will not be so successful. Give yourself the gift, and it truly is a gift, to look at one thing at a time. And know what it is you're looking at. Mindless practice does not make you better. Mindless practice reinforces bad habits, incorrect rhythms, incorrect notes, incorrect, what's the next one? So, the other thing is, while you're here, another thing to put in your toolbox is feeling confident, okay? So you're going to leave your insecurities behind. Okay? When you're in a coaching session with any of the faculty, we want to help you. Sometimes you feel like they're being so hard. We want to help you. And so do leave your insecurities behind. Leave defensiveness behind. We're actually quite friendly. And we want to help you. We want Kathy's not friendly at all. Jump in with both feet. Dare to be brave. Okay? Next singer. you start this aria, you know, it's kind of like, there are certain arias, like Minati, Steal Me, I'm listening 37. In this, I'm listening for intonation of the half steps. It's so hard to do. And if any of you think half steps are easy, think again. I think singers should do a number of things every single day. After you've done the warm-ups that your teacher gives you and the exercises that your teacher gives you, before you start working on your repertoire, you should do a couple of things. Number one, you should do half steps every single day, because half steps are not equal. A half step in the middle of your voice is very different than a half step at the top of your voice. And when you do these half steps, I hope you all take a piano 101, because you're going to go, you're going to tether it to the piano, so that you really know, and you've got a couple of pianos in too, but you really know that distance. You choose a different vowel every day, you choose a different note every day, but that's one of the things that should be practiced every single day. Some other things are arpeggios. We do arpeggios without even thinking, and we miss the notes. And so arpeggios are something. Little baby pianists are taught how to do scales by the time they're 5, 6 years old, okay? So by the time you're older and you get to a Mozart sonata with a lot of scales, you don't have to think, oh my gosh, there's so many notes. How do I play this G major scale? You've been doing it for years and years. You need to do the same thing. The difference is, as a 17 or 18-year-old singer, you're a toddler. So you haven't practiced for 17 years, or 15 years, or 10 years, or 5 years. So you have to take the time now to make sure your scales are in tune, your half steps are in tune, your arpeggios are in tune, and don't always start with the tonic note. Because in real repertoire, it doesn't always start there. Sometimes it adds a 7, sometimes majors, diminished, augmented. You have to practice them all. But the good news is, you do this stuff 5 to 10 minutes a day. It's not like you're going to do it for an hour and a half. The other thing you need to practice every day, unless you don't ever have repertoire that trills. You need to practice your trills every day. If you are just blessed to have a trill, Gelsey Kirkland could do 8 pirouettes without practicing. If you're like that with the trill, I don't care if you practice or not, I'll be impressed with your trill. But most people aren't. So make sure that you practice your trill every day. I have a couple other practice things, but we'll get to that later. So, when you have been practicing your half steps, don't always practice from start to finish. So, could you do that with me? Do you hear how you had to listen to that? Change it. Because this is not a slow. Next day, you play. Kids are told don't play with your food. Sometimes we don't play with our music enough. We need to play and get messy with our music. If you don't do it in the practice room, you'll do it in the concert. So, know where those half steps are. Also, do you know how many notes you have to sing in this doodly-doo?
There are 3 groups of 3, right? Yes.
Are you asking or are you telling
Yeah,
me?
no. There are 3 groups of 3.
Yes, and
That's how I've been running it.
That's okay.
And then 4 slow.
yeah, so you have the doodly-doo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure that you always can keep track.
Yes.
It seems to me that you got got a little bit lost on the way down. We all do this. We're so happy to sing that high note. Oh, those are good high notes. And then you lose track of where you are going down. And do you know how often, by the time you get to the we're in two different keys. Okay? Now the next thing we're going to do is the je veux vivre part. Because you have learned this beautifully in one. Je veux vivre dans. But I don't have a little GPS for you. I do this in 4. It's not because I'm rhythmically inept. But I hear je veux vivre dans ce rêve qui manque. And it gives me a direction rather than the pogo stick approach. Okay? So, let's connect while you sing. Ready? Twice. We always modify it a little bit. So, a couple of little language things. Some of your schwa vowels are beautiful and others are not. Oh, okay. What can you tell us about the French schwa?
It is pucker.
Okay. How can you sing your poker? I'm not saying it's wrong. This is how you get into dialogue with your coach.
I think, well, it depends on where you are in the voice. I think you're going to need more space if you're going to be talking
Yeah.
about
The perfectly IPA schwa is this little guy. Is this backwards or? But that's wrong for French. I always IPA with the OE here. Because it's And too often we go, You can have it, I mean, Pierre Ballet did a brilliant master class a couple of years ago.
It's online.
Yeah. And Jessica, was it Jessica? Yeah. I can't remember what she sang, but her schwa sounds were amazing. All the way through, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're my idol. So we need to work on making that schwa sound like a French schwa, not an American schwa. So when you give me je veux vivre, now I'm exaggerating, but that's what happens with French repertoire. We take our eye off the ball for just a second. So in the practice room, you spend time going, je veux vivre dans ce rêve. You do one thing at a time. You speak it. Then you sing on one note. Je veux vivre dans ce rêve. Okay. And then you start working it one step at a time into the repertoire. Now, the good news is, you're never really doing one thing for more than a few minutes in a practice room. It's perfect if you have attention issues. The bad thing is, you actually have to do the work. You can't just ignore it. And on days when you are truly vocally incapacitated, you can still practice. You just don't sing. It's all up here. So that the other vowel I found was inconsistent was the E.
Oh, yeah.
That's hard. We all do it wrong. And I'm going to do a little homage to Nico because the way he explained it to me in 1742. I feel like I'm so old because you guys weren't even a twinkle.
You might even need to explain who Nico was.
Oh. Nico Castell. Well, you all know. You use his work. Now, buy his books, but do the work yourself. Nico's books are really for people that have done the translation work because you have to know what every word means. Nico was a polyglot, a true polyglot. Do you all know what a polyglot is? Tell me. speaker of I think he had at least 15 languages, 17. Yeah, and so he knew what he was talking about. And when he made these books for all of you, he probably just sat down with the yellow pad and wrote them out because he didn't have to look up words. You need to look up these words. Don't rely just on his work. But when he would talk about the he explained it like this. He said, for the difference, and it was actually with the umlaut U, the and the E sound. But he said, if you say kiss me, kiss me. Now pucker and say it. Kiss me. That's the more open sound. And if you're Italian and say kiss me, kiss me. Now pucker, kiss me. That will give you the other one. So here, I've just kind of transferred the whole idea to the fee, because it's not an oo. There's no oo in fui. It's not fui. It's e. E. I'm not changing my vowel. So everybody do an e, and then make your mouth go this way. E. Do you hear the difference in yourself? Do you feel the difference? So on your way home tonight, when you leave this space, that's your homework. From here to wherever you're laying your head. Once you get there, you don't have to do this again. But practice tonight. But practice that, because that's free. Now, when it's high, but we still don't want to hear fui. Okay? The other thing, you kind of get a little sloppy on. I know, I'm sure you have worked so hard to get it clean. But when we have it's kind of like you're hitting at it. But I get lost. If I had to do tonal dictation, I couldn't.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so how do you practice that?
Slowly.
Slowly. How else? Different rhythms. How else?
Starting and stopping, and like breaking it into cells and just honing it.
Exactly. So you already know.
Yeah.
My friend, why haven't you done that?
Oh, I feel like I haven't at the beginning, and I think I haven't in a while.
Yeah.
I need to go back.
A lot of times when you put the hard work in, there's some things that you'll never have to do again. If you put the hard work in to translate, you don't have to do it again, because the treatise is not going to come out that says quando means something other than quando. But if you've done the hard work on these hack steps and then haven't looked at them, you're going to have to do it. Your bodies are always changing. Good news, bad news. Your voice is not going to be the same today as it is in 3 years. I can sit down at the piano, and it's going to be the same number of keys, and the intonation is not up to me. You're different, okay? So know where are the spots that you need to practice with regularity. Okay, and you're not going to woodshed it for an hour and a half every day, but you are going to spend time with this. So if you decided one day, that's Monday, and you practiced it for 5 minutes in different ways. Next day, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now they're all getting a little higher, so those little half steps and turns are going to be different. And then on Thursday, we go crazy. Friday we rest. So the vulnerable skip is the C to the A. So I would, and then start linking one note on each side. Make it easier on yourself. Don't expect to just whip that thing into shape in one session. Slow and sure, but not always slowly, okay? And then the same thing with the cadenza at the end. I found that you were pretty, if this is the high note, whatever it is, you're just underneath it. And I don't think it's because if we overshoot it and we lose the bottom part, it sounds sharp without just singing sharp. And sometimes if we lose the overtones, we sound flat. And that's what's happening on each of your top notes. You're not singing through it. You're just kind of grazing through there. And so it loses the momentum. So I want you have a circle somewhere.
The clock.
Yeah, look at the clock, okay? That's going to be your top note. So, okay. On each of the high notes of the phrase, I want you to take your arm, and I want you to like a dart. Okay? Go. Your first one was off, but the rest were good. Give us a couple of measures so we don't feel so vulnerable. You're the only one who's responsible. Your children's parents took care of you. Now it's you. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. That does not mean right before you have to sing guzzle a bottle of water. It means hydrate regularly. It means making the choices of not partying too late. It's hard because you're all like in the party age. I know that. I have a daughter who's 20. But you have to, if you want to be a singer, you've got to take care of that first. Sleep, hydrate, know what you need. To sing well, I need to have a baked potato before. Before I sing, I can't have a baked potato before. Know yourself, okay? Number 2, know what you're shopping for, okay? Now, if we were going to have dinner, and we were going to cook, and I took you to a jewelry store, you probably would think I was out of my mind. You can't make food with jewelry. And if we were going to build a house and I went to the grocery store, you'd be very confused. It's the same with singing. You need to know what you're shopping for. Too often you think that you're being open by saying, feel me, tell me. But you need to kind of know what it is you need. Do you need a lot of work in one area and not on the other? Now, if people are telling you everything consistently and you still think something different about yourself, you need to have an honest one-on-one with yourself. But know what you're shopping for. When you're going to a drama person, when you're going to a coach, when you're going to whatever, you need to know what you're shopping for. What do you need? Now here, we're kind of in an environment where we will let you know what we think you need. That's our job. That's what summer programs are for. Your teacher will let you know. When you leave your school, when you look for a new coach, if you've been told that you're doing a Spanish opera and this person is the most amazing Spanish person, and they don't address the language at all, there's something wrong there. So figure out what it is you need. Part of that you're going to get tomorrow in goal setting. But always think, what is it that I need? Who can I get this from? Okay? Next singer.
Una voce poco fa
You put energy behind it so that, if you're in a foreign country and you don't speak the language, if you look around at how everybody is behaving and you just go, they'll think that you're fluent. So I'm making bigger choices in this. The other thing, when you have those little, the 16th notes, they kind of just disappear.
Okay.
So the kind of work that we were doing earlier with, and I get rid of those little grace notes in the beginning.
Really?
Yeah, no, for practice.
Oh,
For
okay.
practice. Susan said never to sing the grace notes. Well, you need to know what I call it like the bones or whatever. So it starts out piano, accent, and dolce, like it's so full on the B that we have no choice but to go up to that C sharp. So once you know, sing for me. Ready? The first one is good, the second one is a little under.
Oh.
Okay, let's do aerobics.
Yep.
You need to get some energy in there. Everybody help her. Everybody stand up. Okay, ready? Ready, go. So this is the practice room. It means either do it unashamedly or you put the paper over the window. You walk around and move. You keep yourself in motion. Doesn't work. Your sound changes, your energy changes, then your legato and your line changes, and miraculously your intonation on those half steps and whole steps got better.
Oh, good.
You have to practice whole steps too, by the way. Then when she has these lovely appoggiaturas, what does appoggiatura mean? To lean. And what are we leaning on?
Non-chord tone.
Yeah, something that's special. So when you have that, let us know. You just kind of slip them in like notice I have an appoggiatura.
Okay.
But they're there for a reason. They highlight you. How old is Rosina?
She's young.
Yeah.
She's probably in her teens somewhere.
Yeah, there's kind of an exact age, I think.
Yes.
15.
15.
Yeah. 15. Huh? Read the play. Yes, read the play. That's going to be in my other things that you need to do. And so, you're 15 years old. Have you ever seen 15-year-olds recently? They're a lot older than that. But they've got this kind of little energy. And she's so clever that Figaro says, oh my God, she had the letter written before I even asked her for it. She's cleverer than me. So you need to bring all of that to your aria. Not when you start singing, but when you start to present. You've got this 15-year-old, I'm trapped and this 40-year-old man wants to marry me and that is so gross, what am I going to do? Oh, there's this really lovely man that I just met. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Start building your network now. What's a network? And don't tell me ABC. Yeah?
People you know in the business. Or
People you know as a business, yeah. Look around. Look at 3 different people. This is your network. You don't know how often somebody calls and says, do you know singer so-and-so? Yes, I do. Or, yeah, I do. So, it is. And so, in your team, you're going to have your teacher, your coach, your drama person, maybe a linguist. It's a small group of people in your team. Your team is not 20 people. Then you'll also have colleagues and people who offer you opportunities. How do you manage and maintain these relationships? If somebody here says, please keep in touch with me throughout the year, do it. Even if you don't have news to share, you can say, I've had 4 auditions and I put into practice blah, blah, blah that you helped me with. Thank you. That's keeping in touch. It's not just, I don't have a big job that I can talk about. That's all right. Keep in touch. And because the same 100 people work around the country all the time, make sure that you're always your best self. Be a good colleague. Be a supportive colleague. That's one of the things I absolutely love about this program is that it's a supportive environment, not only from staff to singer, but singer to singer. And I see these people go on and match up with other opportunities. And how lovely it will be in 5 years when 2 of you walk into Seattle Opera and it's like, oh, we were in cooperative together, okay? If you are chronically anything that's not positive, people know that too. So don't be the one that's always late. Don't be the one that says, wow, they really sang out of tune today. You know, be supportive. That doesn't mean you can't talk to people and talk to friends, but this is your network. We are your network. So I'm proud that I have one of my resident artists next season was in cooperative last year. And that's not to say that will happen to everybody, but I knew her work. I knew her ethic.
3 artists.
Yeah.
One last year and one coming up this year.
Yeah.
That went for cooperative.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, your network is now. The other thing is be curious. Okay? Did you all read Curious George when you were a kid? Be George. Ask questions, not only of us, but you need to read. You need to read the poems from art songs, the books from operas. In Rigoletto, who knows what the title of the book was? Not you guys.
Is it Le Roi s'amuse?
Yes, the king amuses himself. So why did the Duke become the Duke and not the king? And why were the critics on Verdi's back about the libretto? You need to be curious. Traviata. Verdi changed the reference of the flower from red to fatal. Why? You need to be curious. What was the life of a Denelon like? When we say the word call girl, prostitute, lady of the evening, those aren't necessarily positive things. Back then, it wasn't the same kind of thing. They had a different life. Why? You have to read. If you sing Barbara of Seville or Marriage to Figaro, you have to read the Beaumarchais Trilogy, non-negotiable. If you do Faust, you have to read where it comes from, Carmen, all of this stuff. And if you do something that has no book reference, you still have to read the libretto and do research on things. And this should be fun. If this is not fun, you should rethink what you're doing because this is your life for the next 50 years. You also need to go to art museums, look at architecture. When you go to the ballet, see what they do without saying a word. How do their bodies tell you a story? When you go to the museums, what do paintings tell us from the time period? Why do so many guys have little knickers on with their white, always white, tights and their legs like this? Why do so many people in a certain period have a beauty mark drawn in? It's not going to be what you think. You know, it really is, and it's hiding something that they don't want people to know. What was the attire like in various time periods? If you're doing something, you know, with a wig that's up to here, that's heavy. And if you're corseted in, that's going to affect your breathing. You need to know all of these things. Browse art books in bookstores. There's a great bookstore here called Labyrinth. Go look. Go to a library. Look on the internet. We didn't have the advantage of that when we were your age. We had to actually go places. But you can sit when you're taking your 30-minute break from Facebook or Twitter or, what's the other one? Instagram. And do a 30-minute search on something. Yeah, so if you think, oh, I'm going to do Candy Crush, or who plays Candy Crush? I do not. Instead of wasting your time and money on Candy Crush, go and search something. Be curious. Look at new operas. Look at old operas. But let that be something that you do regularly. And the other word is hear. You need to go to different concerts and operas. What was the last thing you attended? Tell me something. Turned up? Okay?
Ballo di Maschera.
Okay. When was the last time you saw something? Excellent. How many things do you see a year? 1 to 10.
Do recitals count?
Yeah. Recitals count, ballets count, symphonies count, operas count. Who went to 1 to 10 things last year?
Oh, yeah.
Only 1 to 10.
Oh.
Sorry. Who went to 10 to 20? Who went 20 to 30? 30 to 40? 40 to 50? 50 to 60? Everybody's hands are down? 40 to 50 is very impressive. That's very impressive. So, because of YouTube, you can hear so much. Take advantage of that. Next singer.
Ich sehe jetzt alles, wie du, deinen Augen
say, I love your G.
Oh, good.
It's like, wow, that's a special note. To me, well, first of all, one of the things I wanted to totally, about the aria, that I was privileged to hear a production led by Kathy at Glimmerglass last year, and she was really good. And then I was in Binghamton, and I was talking to somebody, and they said, oh, we went to see Ariane. Do you know that they had a female conductor? And she hardly ever looked at her music. She had it by memory. And I thought, that's my friend. To me, your voice stays too much here, okay? Except that G, which goes out there. Now, part of the problem is that you always practice in small rooms. You don't have benefit of practicing in big spaces. And so you get told that's too loud, or that's too this, or that's too that. You need to remember that your spaces are going to be maybe this, you could do black box theaters in a space like this, or you can have a 4,000 seat house. So I would like for you to, we're going to start this again, I want you to think about the Met. Okay. Do you want to sing the Met someday maybe? Yeah, you all do. It's way up there. Now you're not going to sing louder. You're not going to push. You're just going to focus in a different way. Okay. And because it's a big space, your body's going to have to cooperate too. Okay. I felt that you were like minimalistic. I mean, the music, play the accompaniment for a second. This is not a person who's calm. So go with the music a bit more, okay, and use the space. Okay, go. Unless we've been with you a long time. We will likely do it the way we did it last, or we'll do it the way we're comfortable with on a tempo change, but you need to be assertive. Nobody can. The only other thing I wanted to say about the beginning, you start with the Z, and I want you to have the I ready. Zai, vida, let's try just the beginning, the first measure again. Sing it 3 times in a row.
Sei mir wieder gut, sei mir wieder gut,
Again.
sei mir wieder gut.
Now to me there's too much. Wieder, wieder. whether you want to believe it or not. It's the first thing we hear. Now, I don't look at your resume when I'm listening to auditions until I've heard at least half your aria, if not more. I want to hear my own impressions and not be influenced by the friends I know on your list. So the first thing I write down is my impression of your sound. So make sure, whether it's the G on the side, make sure that that's a good sound. It's your best sound. If it's not your best sound, maybe you start with a different aria. Because by the time you get to the second, we'll already have pretty well-formed opinions about what we think about your sound. But make sure, that's why practice the first measure every day. If you have 10 arias, that's 10 measures. It's not going to take you forever, but it'll give you the confidence. And you play with each one just a little bit. It takes a couple of minutes, that's it. But it's so worth it. Now, I want to go back to the, where we stopped, because we're now talking about music, about everything. Music is, what does that mean? Holy art. The holiest of anything. I mean, my God, this is, I mean, most composers speak that. That's what they, you know, isn't it kind of amazing that they pick music out of the ether and create scores? That's what you do as the composer. So, let's go from Boston. It's a hard place. Catch us. Yeah, that's a bad place to stop. Oh, no. Ready? The two beats. So make sure you tether to the chord in there. Okay? Thank you. A couple of things. Keep your ears open. What are you being told? What are you not being told? Okay? So they're both important because you need to read between the lines. If people avoid talking about something, figure out why. Here, I don't think anybody will avoid talking about anything. But in a lot of places, you know, the hard thing, like if you sing a Met audition, you're obligated as a judge to give feedback. It's great and it's awful at the same time. Because we hear a 10-minute slice of your life. I don't know if you always sing that tune. I don't know if this is your best day or your worst day. I don't know if you always get that high note or whether you crash the high note. So keep your ears open. If in a Met audition, I don't address things that you think are fundamentally good or bad, you need to be open to that. The other thing is, you need to commit 100%. That's sometimes hard to do. When you get behind the wheel of a car, you are committing 100% to do your best to drive. You're committing to stop at red lights and stop signs. You are committed to, we all push this, you're committed to stay relatively close to the speed limit. When you're singing, when you're working here, when you are working on your voice, commit 100%. If you don't commit 100%, how can anyone else? And this brings up the question of how to mark when your voice is physically tired and you can't sing. I wish I had a box I could sell you. I would be the richest woman in the world. But everybody marks slightly differently. You have to talk to your teacher about it. What I can tell you is that when you mark with your voice, you still give 100% of everything else. And too often, what happens is you start marking and then your energy goes and you give 30%. Well, the stage director can't tell if you're doing what you're doing because you're kind of meandering over. The conductor thinks, oh my God, they've forgotten everything that we've learned. A true artist can mark and give the conductor and the director everything they need to feel secure that the piece is working in the right direction. That's one of the hardest things to learn for most people, but one of the things that will save you when you are in a rehearsal period, especially for more than one thing. If you're a young artist at a program where you're singing, 3 small roles and a chorus, and then you have some scenes where you're doing solo principal things, that's a lot of singing. You have to know how to pace. Committing what 100% is loving what you do. And I challenge all of you to dare to be extraordinary. Okay? Next singer. This is a long aria. How do you want to do this? Because we're not going to have time for the whole thing.
I can do either half.
I'm going to do something that's really terrible. I'm going to stop you. Or let's do half of it slow and some of the fast. So it'll be this jump. We're not going to be getting, I just want to hear how you do this. I mean, Puritani, what's she doing? I mean, the love of her life has gone off with another woman and she's supposed to marry this guy. She's gone crazy and she goes in and says to her dad, and she mistakes the guy she's supposed to get married to for Arturo. It's a mess. So let's start and then Because she bends things in a way. And so what I'd like to think, because to me, we're just too square. You both were too square. And so how to take the shape and make it, you know, there are parameters. It's like if you have dough, you can ply it and make it do sorts of things, but the minute you bake it, it's bread and you can cut it, but you can't make it pliable again. And so you need to have that liquidity, but it's not total license to just forget about the integrity of certain things. I like to think of it like a helium balloon. If you take a helium balloon and tether it to something, this is the balloon's up there, this is the string. If it's Mozart, the tether's going to be kind of small, but if it's bel canto, the string is a lot bigger because there's a lot more. And we even do this in music today. In Broadway, they do what's called back singing. And you may not know how to do it, but you know when it's done right. If somebody, excuse me for a second, this isn't in Broadway, but genres. So, in something like this, you've got a couple of things going on. You've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And do you know how many people go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1? It's a different art. Okay? So, let's play around with it, okay? I'm going to play for just a second, because I'm going to sometimes play really square, and I'm going to sometimes not play really square. I just naturally come in. we played with our food. We played with how far can we go? Well, there were some places that we went too far. But some people might like that. All you have to do is listen to 10 recordings of Qui La Voce by 10 different artists. Try the same artist with 2 different conductors. Okay? Because it'll all be slightly different. Now, once you know how far you can go and how far you can't, then you have a chance. The thing that I love is that your voice blossomed and bloomed and you gave me much more expressivity. Okay? So how do you do that with this kind of repertoire in a room by yourself? You hear the orchestra. You always hear that orchestra underneath you. You listen to this often enough so that you know what the orchestra is. You know who partners you. You know who is an accompaniment figure. You know what you feel. I mean, there's this, lovely thing in the second act finale of Figaro, where there's a sudden boom. And I love that. And when somebody doesn't play it, I'm just kind of disappointed. So explore this. What I also found was that you were much more expressive on the apontures, and you made more music. I mean, this is a woman who's crazy. This is somebody who's exploring her outer limits as well. So the other thing is your A flat is a stunning note each time you get there. When you have a note like, I mentioned to somebody that had a great G, she has a great A flat. When you have a note like that, match everything to it. You have to. You don't want it, everybody will have a note that's easier to sing. It might be a spectacular note, but really work hard to match everything to that. The other thing is your dynamics need to have that expando thing also. I was trying to do some at the piano to show you what's possible. But you tend to live in the safety zone of 4 to 6, maybe 4 to 7, because you can go a little bit more. But really explore 1 to 10. And I'm going to have you do this exercise. It's another one of my practice everyday exercises. Choose a note, make it a note that you can sing pretty well and easily. Okay? Choose a vowel. Every day is a different note and a different vowel. Okay? We're going to do to the count of 3. You're going to start pianissimo, you're going to crescendo to forte from 1 to 3, and then decrescendo from forte to piano. And the metronome marking should be about 60. Ready? 1, 2, 20. So, you know, and everybody has sustained notes. And so if your sustained note is one that crescendos for 8 beats, you know how to do that. If it's one that decrescendos for 12 beats, you know how to do that because you practice it all the time. So anything that you can kind of get a preemptive practice on, you need to. Because none of you have repertoire that doesn't sustain. You all have held notes or long notes. So this is $1 million exercise, okay? And that will help you make the dynamics as pliable as the tempi. Remember? You're always tethered. You can't move that over here like that, but you can let it do this. Okay? Good, thank you. In the real world, if you have an audition and you're sick, cancel. Never sing sick. Repeat after me.
Never sing sick.
What did I say?
Never sing sick.
And the worst is singing an aria and then saying, I'm really sorry, I should have canceled, I'm a little sick. I'm not going to believe you. I'm going to think that you just blew your audition. Never sing sick. If I wanted to hear you once, I will hear you again. It may not be this season if my times are all booked up, but we will hear you again. And you guys think, oh my gosh, it's my one and only chance. Don't sing sick. However, when you're here, unless you have a fever or a vomiting, don't cancel. Even if you're too tired to sing, pick our brains. Ask people things. We have a lot of experience between us and amongst us. And ask questions. Talk about, okay, I'm having a real hard time with. Use your time. Do not cancel. If you have a fever or if you're vomiting, cancel and stay home and take care of yourself. The other thing, who is it? Do what you love and love what you do. Is that Mikey? Or is it me? Anyway, you have to have fun. Opera is an amazing world. We are so lucky because we get to do this all the time. There are people, this is why people who don't do this are so interested in all of you. Because they can't open their mouths and make amazingly beautiful music. I would love to be a singer. I've got a great trill actually. And I can do everything that I teach, but I don't have a beautiful voice. You have beautiful voices. So love what you do. It's hard work, no doubt about that. But it can be the most fun you've ever had. I challenge you during these 3 weeks to take risks. Take a lot of risks. Figure out what the risks are while you're here. This is a safe environment. So that when you go out in the fall and audition and have the audition that you want, you know what your parameters are. I truly do hope you love every minute of your career, and I truly do hope you love every